Lap 47, Bahrain night. The gray car of the underdog team slides past the red champion into the final corner. The timing screens flash a name no one expected. Tatsuya Sato, P1. Inside the gray cockpit, Tatsuya's hands are steady. He's waited 8 years for this.
Who the hell is this guy?
At the final corner, the champion is forced wide. The gray car disappears ahead, lapping him ruthlessly. 8 years earlier, a closed FIA tribunal. A different face, a different life.
I saw them inject the drivers. I know the names.
Your testimony will put you in danger. Are you prepared for what comes next?
I won't let them destroy our sport. Whatever it takes.
That testimony would cost him his face, his name, and 8 years of his life. Hours after the testimony, agents smuggled him out. A black sedan, a new name, no goodbyes. The syndicate had hunted witnesses before. To survive, he had to disappear completely. In a sterile room, Dr. Farrow mapped his new face. Lines traced across the skin he would lose.
The bone structure will be altered. You won't recognize yourself.
The scalpel cut deep. Cartilage and bone reshaped. There was no going back. Weeks later, bandages unwrapped. The mirror showed a stranger.
This is my face now. But whose face is it?
He touched the scars along his jaw. Faint lines that only a camera could find.
Tatsuya Sato. The name is mine again, but the man who had it is dead.
8 years of hiding began. He would race in obscurity, waiting for a chance to return. In Argentina, he raced on forgotten circuits. A ghost in a borrowed name, still impossibly fast.
No one knows my face. No one cares. But the wheel still fits my hands.
Every year blurred into the next. He moved through streets unnoticed, a stranger to himself.
I exist on paper. A name that isn't mine. A history that doesn't belong to me.
Then a news bulletin. The last surviving conspirator had died. Natural causes, they said, with no one left to threaten him. Witness protection ended. The cage unlocked. An envelope arrived. Official seals. A restored identity. Tatsuya Sato lived again.
My name. My real name. After 8 years, the law finally sees me.
He found the old photo. The face he lost. But the eyes were still his.
Now I am free. But freedom without purpose is just another prison.
He approached a team scraping the bottom of the standings. They had no money, no glory, only a seat.
You've been away for 8 years. No team will take that risk. Why should we?
Because in 3 laps, I'll be faster than your current driver. That's the only reason you need.
The private test was brutal. Tatsuya's lap time silenced every doubt. The contract was signed that night. Across the paddock, Kazuya's world was a fortress of sponsors, trophies, and unchallenged dominance.
Bahrain is mine. I own this track. The championship is a formality.
Tatsuya arrived under the Bahrain floodlights. Gray, unmarked, invisible to the cameras.
8 years ago, I left this world in handcuffs. Tonight, I take it back with a steering wheel.
A quick memory, the syndicate man's grip on his arm, the venom in his whisper. He shook it off. The engines roared. The season's first race was about to begin, qualifying day. Tatsuya pushed the gray car beyond its limits, sector after sector lighting purple. When the lap ended, the screen blinked. P4. For a team that never scored points, it was a miracle.
4th place for a backmarker is his victory. He won't last 5 laps in the race.
But the telemetry told a different story. Tatsuya's consistency was terrifying. No driver improved so much after years away.
These hands, remember. No scalpel could cut muscle memory.
A flash. The syndicate man's whisper in a rainy paddock. You won't walk away. He had walked away, with a different face.
They don't know this face. But tomorrow, they'll learn what it cost.
Final qualifying order. Kazuya on pole. Sato P4, right behind the champion's gearbox.
He's just a number. Tomorrow, I'll lap him like the rest.
Tatsuya stood alone in the pit lane, the scars on his jaw catching the floodlights. The race would be his answer. Before dawn, an encrypted message lit Tatsuya's phone. The FIA had reopened the 2017 case. In a cold archive, sealed evidence boxes were cracked open. dust and consequences pouring out. Classified dossier. Witness Tatsuya Sato cleared for testimony. His original statement, now unsealed, named co-conspirators, including a junior driver who became champion. The leak reached Kazuya's camp like a saboteur. His agent burst into the garage, panic on his face.
What do you mean, a witness? That case was dead for years.
His agent's voice cracked. It's Sato, the one who disappeared. He's back with a new face.
All this time, I thought they silenced him. Now he's driving my circuit.
In the evidence dossier, a photo of a young Kazuya receiving an injection from a syndicate doctor.
I didn't come back to win a race. I came back to finish what I started.
The formation lap began. Two men, opposite sides of a buried crime, unleashed their fury on the asphalt. Lights out. Tatsuya launched like a missile, slicing through the top three before turn 1. By lap 15, the gray car was a predator. P3 fell at turn 4, P2 at the hairpin.
The car is alive under me. 8 years of silence, and it still answers like my own pulse.
Timing screen flashed. Sato P2, gap to leader 2.1 seconds. The paddock held its breath. Kazuya's race engineer. Sato is gaining 0.3 per sector. He's not backing off.
Who is this guy? I can't break him. Every corner he's right there.
Panic. Kazuya locked up into turn 10, smoking his front tires. A rare mistake from the champion.
His hands are shaking. I can see it from here. The champion is braking.
On the pit wall, the team principal gripped his headset in disbelief. A podium was suddenly possible. Mid-race, the gray ghost filled Kazuya's mirrors. The gap, 1.2 seconds, and closing lap after lap. Tatsuya chipped away. The gap shrank to tenths. The champion's mirrors, a prison of gray.
He's not backing off. How is his pace this insane on old tires?
One more corner. The world is about to learn what a ghost can do.
Turn 14, the final corner. Tatsuya lunged inside, wheels inches apart. The champion had to yield or crash.
No, he can't. He lapped me on my own track.
8 years ago, you stole my life. Tonight, I took your dignity.
The grandstands erupted. Fans clutched their heads, some cheering, others frozen in disbelief. The broadcast graphics screamed across the world. Sato laps champion on the pit wall. The team principal wept. A backmarker had just humbled the world champion. The gray car flashed across the line, the clock still running. Kazuya's red machine limped behind, a once unthinkable image seared into history. As the checkered flag waved, FIA delegates in dark suits intercepted Tatsuya in Parc Fermé.
Mr. Sato, the 2017 sealed deposition has been reopened. You are required for verification.
They have the original file. The names I gave them, redacted for 8 years. Now they'll see.
In the dossier, a damning photograph. A teenage driver receiving an injection. His face unmistakable. In Kazuya's garage, the air shattered. He threw his helmet against the wall, screaming at his crew.
He lapped me, that nobody lapped me. And now they're digging up the past. It's a vendetta.
The dossier note read, Junior driver Kazuya, substance protocol administered by syndicate medical staff.
The truth is breaking through. I wore this face like a cage, but the cage is opening.
Kazuya's agent rushed in, pale. They have the photo, the 2017 injection. It's over. Kazuya slumped against his car. The champion was no longer untouchable. The reckoning had begun. Within hours, the FIA issued a provisional suspension. Kazuya's world crumbled on live television.
Effective immediately. You are suspended from all competition pending the tribunal.
Reporters cornered Tatsuya outside the garage, microphones jabbed like weapons.
They want me to spill secrets, but my face already cost me 8 years.
His team principal threw a jacket over the cameras, pushing through the mob.
If I testify, I expose the syndicate. But I also expose myself. Again.
The FIA legal counsel handed him a secure line. We need you on the stand, Mr. Sato.
Without your public testimony, the evidence may not be enough for a permanent ban.
Silence kept me alive, but silence also let them cheat for a decade.
A summons arrived. Formal, unyielding. The choice was no longer theoretical.
The old wanted poster. My face, my real face, printed like a criminal. I memorized its creases. 8 years I hid. 8 years I let them climb on my silence. This face, it was supposed to protect me, but it only protected them.
He unfolded the yellowed poster, the grim warning, missing, key, witness, 2017.
If I testify, I am the missing witness again. No more hiding, no more running. But what's left to lose? My face already belongs to the FIA surgeon. My name is a government file.
He stared at the stranger in the glass, the faint surgical lines, the eyes that had seen too much.
I survived the scalpel. I can survive the cameras. Schedule the press conference. Tomorrow, 10 a.m.
The decision was made. In 12 hours, the ghost would step into the light. Cameras flashed as Tatsuya Sato walked to the microphone. He carried his racing helmet under his arm.
My real name is Tatsuya Sato. 8 years ago, I testified against a doping syndicate that owned this sport.
He placed the helmet on the table, then turned his jaw to the light, revealing the faint surgical scars.
They gave me a new face so I could survive, but the old one is still in this room. The champion you know, Kazuya, was their creation. I watched them inject him when he was a junior.
The room erupted. Reporters shouted over each other. Kazuya's name detonated like a bomb.
I waited 8 years to take off this face. Today, I drove with it for the last time.
He pointed to the scar along his jawline, the signature of a government surgeon, the price of his testimony.
I didn't come back for revenge. I came back so that no junior driver ever has to hide again.
The world now knew the truth. The witness had walked out of the shadows, and the sport would never be the same. 2 days later, the FIA tribunal convened. Kazuya stood alone before the judges, stripped of his champion's badge.
Kazuya, for violations of anti-doping regulations and complicity in the 2017 syndicate, you are banned for 4 years.
4 years. My career ends in a courtroom.
The sentence was final. His 3 championships were placed under retroactive scrutiny. News networks broadcast the headline: "Champion banned, 4 years. Titles in question." Kazuya was escorted from the paddock, cameras flashing on the fallen champion's empire. That same afternoon, Tatsuya Sato released a statement through his team. "I will complete this season, then retire. The truth no longer needs my face." The retirement announcement scrolled across screens worldwide. The ghost had finished his mission. Justice had been served. The witness-turned-champion had rewritten history in a single season. The final race weekend. Tatsuya's gray car, now bearing the name Sato, rolled to the grid.
This is the last time I sit here. The last time the wheel will feel like home.
The race was not for victory. He drove with precision, not fury. A quiet, composed drive. When the checkered flag fell, he crossed the line in 8th. The crowd stood for him. He drove into the garage one final time. The engine fell silent. He sat for a moment, then slowly pulled off his helmet. The world saw the scars.
You gave us everything, Tatsuya. The sport is better because of you.
I never wanted to be a hero. I just wanted to drive clean.
He placed the helmet on the stand for the last time. The garage was silent. Outside, the sun was setting. Tatsuya Sato walked away from the track, a free man. Weeks later, Tatsuya stood in a classroom, not a cockpit. His audience, young drivers hungry for the truth.
The fastest lap doesn't need a needle. It needs honesty. Don't let anyone steal that from you.
A young driver approached, clutching a plain helmet. Tatsuya knelt. His scarred jaw knelt, his scarred jaw level with the boy's eyes. He signed it. "Drive clean, Tatsuya Sato." The boy's grin was worth more than any trophy. At karting circuits, he watched from the barrier, no longer a competitor, but a guardian of the sport's soul.
This is why I came back. Not for silverware, but so he'll never have to hide.
A child drew a gray car on notebook paper. The number 27 scrawled beside it. Tatsuya saw the drawing and said nothing. But his eyes, for the first time, held no ghosts.
The past is a scar, but it doesn't hurt anymore.
He walked away from the track one last time, but never from the sport. He had become its conscience. In the silence of his home, Kazuya sat alone. trophies draped in sheets, like ghosts of a dead career. He found an old photograph, two junior drivers, arms around each other on a podium. They were laughing. That day, they were still clean, before the needle, before the lies.
We were friends once. I traded that for a championship.
He traced the younger face with his finger, the face that Tatsuya lost to a scalpel.
He paid with his face. I paid with my soul. Neither of us won.
He slowly pulled a sheet over the nearest trophy. The gold was meaningless now. He stood by the window, looking out at a paddock he would never enter again.
Maybe this is justice. Not the ban, the silence.
Alone with his memories, the fallen champion understood the real price of his choices. Months later, Tatsuya's car, gray, number 27, was carefully wheeled into the Hall of Fame. It sat among legends, its scars just as meaningful as his own. A brass plaque engraved, Tatsuya Sato, the man who changed the sport. Fans came to see the car that had lapped a champion and unveiled a conspiracy. They read the story of witness protection, reconstructive surgery, and an 8-year wait for justice. His face change was no longer a secret. It was a symbol of sacrifice. Those who remembered the old wanted poster now saw a hero. Young racers pressed their hands to the glass, dreaming of earning such honor. The sport had changed. Its conscience was now immortalized in steel and rubber. His legacy, once hidden, was now preserved for the world to see. At a local karting circuit, Tatsuya stood among the spectators. No cameras, no journalists, just engines screaming with pure joy. He leaned on the barrier, his scarred face unguarded, watching children who could be the next champions. A girl in a blue cart made a clean dive up the inside. No contact, just speed. The right way.
They don't even know what they're avoiding. And that's the point.
The checkered flag waved. The young racers gathered, comparing lines and laughing, the sport untainted.
This is what I fought for. Not trophies. This.
A boy approached, racing gloves in hand. His eyes were wide with recognition.
Clean laps are faster than dirty ones. Remember that.
The boy nodded and ran back to his cart. Tatsuya allowed himself a small, rare smile. The past was a scar. The future was a clean track. And for the first time, the gap between them didn't hurt. A handwritten letter arrived, no return address. Inside, a child's uneven scrawl. It read, "Dear Mr. Sato, my dad said you gave up your face so we could race clean. I want to be like you."
All those years. And a child sees it clearer than the FIA ever did.
He walked to the park bench, the same one where he'd once stared at his old photograph with bitterness. Now, he held two pieces of paper, the wanted poster of a ghost and a letter from the future.
One face I lost. The other I gave away. But this is something new.
He folded the letter and placed it carefully against the yellowed poster. The missing witness finally found.
I waited 8 years to take off this face. Now, I'd wear it again if I had to.
The gap between who he was and who he became had closed. The scar remained, but the wound was gone.
I didn't just survive. I made sure they won't have to.
He remembered the day it all began. The sterile tribunal room, the choice that would steal his future.
If I stay silent, they win. If I speak, I lose my face, my name, my life. Either way, something dies. I'll do it. I'll testify. Let them take my face. They won't take my soul.
Now, on a park bench, he was still that man. The same resolve, the same core, just a different face.
The scalpel gave me a mask. The truth gave me back my identity.
The wanted poster now lay under the child's letter. The missing witness had been found, not by the law, but by the next generation.
I am still Tatsuya Sato. Not the one from 2017. A new one. Forged by fire and scalpel.
The journey that began in a courtroom had ended on a playground. Not with a verdict, but with a promise.
I waited 8 years to take off this face. Today, I wore it with pride.
He was no longer a witness in protection. He was a guardian. And the sport would never need another mask. The sun hung low as Tatsuya walked along the empty circuit perimeter. No helmet, no fire suit, just a man and the fading light.
I used to think freedom was a new face. It was always just the truth.
The asphalt that once thundered with engines was silent now, matching his heartbeat. He passed the closed gates, the empty grandstands, the place where he'd lapped a champion.
That was another life. This one is mine.
The path ahead led away from the track, into the ordinary world he'd fought to protect. No disguise, no protection, just Tatsuya Sato, walking into a sunset he'd earned.
The scar on my jaw is not a wound anymore. It's a medal.
And as the darkness fell on the circuit, he kept walking, not away from racing, toward the light. In a quiet room, a helmet rests on a wooden shelf. Plain, gray, unmarked by glory. Dawn light creeps through a window, catching the visor. It glows, as if waking. The reflection shows a faint map of scratches, each one a lap, a battle, a truth told. This was the mask he wore. The shield that hid a witness. The cage that became his liberation. For 8 years, he was faceless. Then, for one season, he wore this and reclaimed everything. He drove with it for the last time in Bahrain. Now it rests, no longer needed, but the sport has a new mask now, his legacy. A promise etched not in trophies, but in clean laps and young eyes. The dawn is not just a new day, it's a new era. He drove with his mask for the last time. Now, the sport remembers. Tatsuya Sato, witness, champion, guardian. His face changed, his name restored, his mission complete.